It's time once again for That Business Show with Jamie Meloni on 1250 Wins WHNZ, where business becomes show business. Now, live in studio and promoting the entrepreneurial spirit that drives the American economy, your host, Jamie Meloni.
Hello, everybody, and welcome yet again to another episode of That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. You'll catch this show on weekdays at 8 a.m. here on 1250 WHNZ, and I invite you to take a minute to check out my website over at tampabayradio.com, where you can catch all the past shows of That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, and also find all of my property listings, as I also specialize in the sale of bank-owned property listings. And again, you can find all of that stuff over at tampabayradio.com. You can also find me on all the social networking sites, facebook.com/That Business Show, and also follow me on Twitter, Jamie_Meloni. Got a great show planned for you today. In just a moment, we'll be talking with Dr. Carrie Elk of the Elk Institute. And at the bottom of the hour, we got expert contributor Jim Yeager of Yeager & Company in studio today. Go ahead and bring in our first guest for the show. Dr. Carrie Elk has been in the mental health field for more than 20 years, and she earned her Bachelor's of Science in Education and Psychology at Towson State University in 1991. She has achieved her Master's in Education and Counseling from Penn State University in 1995, and she has a PhD in Human Sciences from Florida State University. She is the founder and CEO of the Elk Institute for Psychological Health and Performance, which provides education, treatment, and clinical research consultation on psychological trauma and the other mental health and psychological performance topics to civilians. Dr. Carrie Elk, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, Jamie.
Thank you very much. Sorry we couldn't get you in studio today. You're stuck up there in traffic, but I appreciate you taking some time to still call in, and welcome again to the show.
Thank you. Yes, it was a long journey this morning heading south from Lute.
And I keep giving people tips on my show. I mean, the veterans, 275, those are, and Del Mabry coming down from the north end of Tampa. You know, Florida Avenue is a great avenue, and I've promoted that like 3 times on my show already. So maybe I'm kind of giving away one of my my industry secrets to getting into work, on time. But I appreciate you still taking time out of your day to make an appearance on the show. So again, thank you very much.
Of course.
So tell me more about your background and the Elk Institute to the audience.
Okay. Yes, as you said, I've been in the mental health field for over 20 years. The past several years, I have focused on military mental health, specifically in treating post-traumatic stress disorder, or as I like to refer to it, psychological trauma in the military population. There's just a great need, and the more I listened and the more I worked with the military and veteran community, the more I kind of heard the obstacles to treatment. And if you listen to people long enough, they'll and closely enough, they'll teach you how to help them. And that's what I've done in creating the Elk Institute for Psychological Health and Performance.
And now your treatment methods are not the textbook methods. So tell me a little bit about some of the traditional treatment methods that post-traumatic stress disorder veterans go through, and some of the solutions that you offer for them.
Okay, so traditionally there are 3 main treatments that are kind of the go-to treatments that are offered through the VA and military mental health, and those are prolonged exposure therapy, cognitive processing therapy, or, of course, medication. And prolonged exposure therapy is about 20 sessions long, usually. It requires 20 sessions, and that is putting the person in the context of their traumatic material until they can withstand it. And I do not subscribe to that. I don't suggest that, and I don't like that.
So you're making the veteran actually relive the experience, which I can understand.
Over.
Okay,
over.
Okay, so that's one of the textbook treatments. Then, and you call that the prolonged exposure treatment.
Yes, that's prolonged exposure. As you can imagine, any of us, something you've been through. If you've been through something that's been traumatic, it was bad enough the first time it happened, let alone having to go over it, usually with a stranger and. Usually a civilian, or a lot of the times a civilian, to go over something that was bad enough the first time 20 times. So sometimes after a couple of sessions, the symptoms, the person becomes more agitated, the nightmares are more prominent, more hypervigilant and anxious because you're exposed to your traumatic material so much that then the veteran will drop out of treatment because they say, "Oh my gosh, I've done 3 sessions of this thing and I've gotten worse." And so there's a lot of people don't finish that treatment, and I don't recommend that treatment. The next is cognitive processing, which is decent for decreasing symptoms. Cognitive processing therapy helps people think differently about the traumatic event in more helpful ways. And there's some good to that, so that when you get triggered or you get kind of back into a place of remembering your trauma and being upset about it, you can maybe change some of your thoughts to calm yourself down. But the problem is you're still getting triggered.
Mm-hmm.
It's still going to trigger you, because PTSD is actually physiologically based. There's a physiological response to the triggers. You can't, if you could outthink or feel your way out of PTSD, our veterans would have already done that themselves. They're very resilient, very capable of figuring out how to work things out. So if you could simply think or feel your way out of this, they would have done it by now. So it's physiologically based, which is why the third option, medication, is sometimes the go-to, because it will decrease the physiological symptoms. But most vets don't want to be on medication or much medication. They want to be on as little as possible. So that also doesn't provide a solution.
Now, we started hearing the term PTSD, I think, back in the 90s and more so in the 2000s after the Afghanistan war. But were these was this a mental problem around back in World War I, World War II? I mean, what has changed? Is it just more mainstream now? What has changed that we didn't see with the older generations?
Well, we call it shell shock, battle fatigue, things like that. Now it's PTSD, and then a lot of people don't want the D to be on there for a disorder, and they call it, they refer to PTS, the post-traumatic stress, before the D comes along, but we don't have to get into the splitting hairs of that. That's why I like to call all of that, what we've seen historically and what we see now, I like to call it psychological trauma. All of those terms fall under psychological trauma. Essentially, you've witnessed something or experienced something in the past that is still affecting your current functioning. That's pretty much all I need to know in order to help.
Now,
whether you meet criteria or not, doesn't matter. It just matters that you have something from the past that's creeping into the current and getting in your way.
Of just roughly of with all our men in service, women out there in the military. I mean, what would you say is the prevalence of the disorder in terms? I mean, are we looking at 10%, 20, 30, 40% of the people that see the action are affected? What are you seeing in your practice?
Well, the numbers that are reported, you're going to have to remember, are not accurate, because those are the reported numbers. Those are the reported cases. And although I feel like it's getting a little bit better, there's still a huge stigma with coming forward and acknowledging that you're having problems with psychological trauma, so that it's always going to be underreported. You see numbers like 25%, 25%, but I really wonder what that real number is, because those are the ones that we're counting. What about the ones that we're not counting and that we don't see coming in for treatment? So I think whatever our stated number is, it's always going to be a little bit higher than that. And one of those reasons, like I just mentioned, is because of the stigma. And it's really important, if there's one main message that I would like to get out there, if I could, is that PTSD, psychological trauma, PTS, let's just call it all psychological trauma, is not caused because somebody has mental health problems. It doesn't come from mental health problems. It comes from a natural physiological response to threat. When you're in a situation, a life or death situation, or you're witnessing something like that, there's a physiological response that changes the way that information is stored in your memory, and it causes it to be fragmented. So you get PTSD because you're a human being, and that's the way your brain and your body respond to threat in the environment. It causes mental health symptoms. You don't get PTSD because you're mentally ill, but if you don't get it treated, it will cause mental health symptoms.
Now, why are some people affected and some people are not? Is there any type of science that can point to that can answer that question yet?
There are just so many variables and so much research being done by that. But understanding what I just said, the brain science behind it, whenever you're in a situation, a threatening situation, when we perceive threat, we clench our bodies, and it sends a message to our brain to shut down higher order thinking and go into survival mode. The memory system that you have in that part of your brain is sensory only, so that all of the things that are going on around you, smell, sight, sounds, and sensations during the traumatic event, are stored as sensory memory. So basically those sounds are attached to only the physiological sensation you felt during that time, or that smell is only attached to that sensory overload or heightened arousal. Those become triggers later. So if you understand that that's what that is, it's fragmented information, bits and pieces of what was going on that aren't really connected to a story because your higher order brain was not accessible to you. You were in survival mode. So if you can understand that, if that makes any sense, you realize that you get PT, if you're in a threatening situation, you clench and your body has that response, the information gets stored that way, partially processed. And what we do here at the Elk Institute is utilize a collection of tools from different therapies to help integrate that information.
Hold that point. Hold that point right there. Yeah, Carrie, hold that point right there. I want to take a quick break. But coming back from the break, I want to talk more with you about some of the solutions that you offer to veterans suffering from PTSD over at the Elk Institute. So if you're just tuning in, you've been listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business.
iMortgage Tampa appreciates and supports all veterans and their families. And as a thank you for your service, they have some unique products specifically for veterans. These programs include 100% cash-out loans, renovation loans, and also a VA interest rate reduction loan. Please call them today at 813-523-4908. Again, that's 813-523-4908. Or online, search for iMortgage Tampa. iMortgage NMLS 174457. Equal Housing Opportunity Lender. Programs and eligibility subject to programs and guidelines.
Tampa Bay weather is a roof killer. That's why when getting your roof done, you want it done right. Hi, I'm Jamie Meloni of the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show. When considering a new roof or repair, talk to Westfall Roofing. They've been installing high-quality roofs in Tampa Bay for over 25 years. Get a free, no-obligation estimate by calling 855-99-ROOFING. Find out what already 15,000 satisfied customers already know. Call now, 855-99-ROOFING. That's 855-99-ROOFING.
In the market for a reverse mortgage? Contact Access Reverse, a local company with personalized service in the Bay Area. Call them at 727-347-0305 or visit accessreverse.com for a no-cost, no-obligation consultation. They'll come to your home and speak with you about the best options for your reverse mortgage. Plus, they offer the lowest closing costs. Don't just get a reverse mortgage. Get the right reverse mortgage with Access Reverse. Visit accessreverse.com. NMLS number 4566. Bud Spriggs and Movement Mortgage want you to experience the thrill of one-day underwriting and the comfort in knowing your loans will be clear to close in record time. While the competition looks to a lost closing date, Bud Spriggs and Movement Mortgage focus on their 12-day clear to close. They do this by utilizing their world-class operations staff to underwrite your loan within 6 hours, process your loan in 12 days, and have your loan closed in time. Underwritten in 6 hours, cleared to close in 12 days. Bud Spriggs and Movement Mortgage.
This report is brought to you by iHeartMedia.
Looking for a way to increase your business? Ever thought about advertising on radio? iHeartMedia can customize a campaign to meet your specific needs. Call 844-BUY-RADIO. That's 844-BUY-RADIO. Or go to iHeartMedia.com.
From the Bright House Network's Traffic Center, we are seeing a very slow ride this morning on the Veterans Expressway Memorial Highway combo from Hutchison all the way into 275. Just before 275, there is a crash that's off to the right side, adding to these already heavy delays. Northbound delays on 275 from the hump of the Howard Franklin all the way into Lois, and a serious crash on 19 southbound after Tampa Road has 2 lanes blocked. See traffic problems? Call the injury firm of Abrahamson and Uterweg Hillsborough Traffic Tip Line, 866-545-9595.
Sunny skies today with a high near 68. Tonight, it'll be windy and cool with a low of 42. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny and chilly, only getting up to 57 degrees.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Meloni.
Welcome back, everybody, to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. We're currently talking with Dr. Carrie Elk of the Elk Institute about PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and some of the solutions she offers over at the Elk Institute. So I want to come back to the solutions and how your treatment methods are different than the traditional methods of treatment that we were speaking of in the first segment, if you would.
Sure. Here at the Elk Institute for Psychological Health and Performance, first of all, we're a nonprofit, a civilian nonprofit, so that sometimes that's less threatening than somebody going to military mental health or something like that. So when folks come in here, we don't ever charge the individual veteran or service member for any of our services. So that's at no charge to veterans and service members. And we rely on donations as a nonprofit. We rely on donations from folks that want to make sure that their veterans and service members do get what they need to handle PTSD and other mental health issues. Want to make sure they're well taken care of. So that's number one, is what we do here is different, that there's very little information collected from the service member, and there's, no...
Okay, so you're not focusing on having them relive the events. You offer different treatment methods. I want to stress that.
Yes.
That's important, okay?
Yes, right. So, the treatment methods that we use here, it's not like I have the newfangled way of treating PTSD. What it is just using parts and tools from existing therapies. It's using good, tried and true therapies, but taking one tool from one toolbox and one tool from another toolbox in order to integrate the information. Like I said, we need to help integrate the information from a traumatic memory so that it's stored like a regular memory. It will always be bad or sad. You can't make something bad good, but it doesn't have to elicit that physiological traumatic response when you remember it or talk about it or even think about it. So what we do here is a very short therapy. Usually we can process one traumatic scene per session. So usually somebody can come in. It might take 2 hours max to go over that traumatic scene and help the person to integrate the information. But after that, that memory should simply be a bad or a sad memory, but should not cause them any more symptoms. So whatever nightmares, whatever triggers are attached to that memory, once it's integrated, should not be a problem anymore after that.
Okay, and so what is the length of a typical treatment then? I guess if somebody has more, episodes to get through, or you kind of treat them one by one per treatment session? Is that how this works?
Yes, usually one by one, and many veterans, and even first responders for that matter, in my civilian practice, I see them. Many of them have seen a lot of things, and they've been through a lot of things, seen a lot of traumatic things, but not every one of those incidents ends up being stored traumatically and causing them problems. People usually have up to a handful that are the ones that nightmares are made of or that still trigger them. So yes, we would take one at a time. This is a very kind therapy. The way that we work is not overwhelming people. So we choose one specific thing, and we work on that, usually 1 to 5 sessions. I'm finished. People are finished here, just depending on how many scenes they have.
Okay, and do you get into medication at all, or you're strictly just dealing with counseling then? So, and what would you say your success with the veterans has been? What's some of the feedback that you're seeing from the veterans that you've treated?
Well, the good news is what I do will either help or do nothing. It can't hurt anyone, so it's always worth a try. And I don't think that I've ever had anybody come in here and not have any response. It goes from feeling more relieved and things being a little more palatable to night and day difference. But most of the time, to be honest with you, the majority of the time, I see patients report night and day difference. Not needing medication to sleep anymore after one session, or being able to, I get some feedback from some of these veterans, and one texted me on Thanksgiving saying, we only had one session, and usually Thanksgiving full with all these family and all this stuff going on, I usually find myself isolated in a room, trying with everything I've got to just hold it together, or drinking too much to get through the day. And this year I actually enjoyed it, and none of those things happened. And at the end of the day, I really enjoyed my day with my family, and that's after one session. That's the kind of stuff that I hear most of the time.
Now, tell me about the history of the Elk Institute. How long have you been in business in the area, and also how people can, contact you to get information on your services as well?
Sure, yes. I started seeing service members and vets in my private practice, but I won't collect money from them. They incurred their wounds from serving me, so I don't feel okay with charging them. That's not a good business model.
Right.
So I started a 501c3 nonprofit so that I could continue to provide the service at no charge to the vets and rely on donations. And I established that 501c3 January 1st, 2014. So I've been in existence as a nonprofit for a year now. And you can go to our Facebook page. It's Dr. Carrie Elk Institute for Psychological Health and Performance, and like us and keep up with us there. Or, of course, our website, which is www.elkinstitute.org.
Now, also, I want to touch on, we still got a couple minutes left. You also treat anxiety and depression disorders. Do you is that a separate fee, or do you just offer the free services for the veterans? Tell me a little bit about those services as well.
Yeah, veterans and service members will never pay for services in my organization. If you're a civilian or a family member, I do have a private practice where I can handle those people. But service members and veterans, I specialize in psychological trauma, but will help them with whatever it is, depression or anxiety as well. And sometimes their depression and anxiety might actually be tied to a traumatic event once we start digging around in that.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think that anxiety and depression is tied to post-traumatic stress disorder? I myself and my family actually has anxiety and depression in the family. I actually battled anxiety disorder, interestingly enough, in my early 20s. I mean, do you see a link between those disorders?
Sometimes I can't make a blanket statement because people have anxiety and depression for different reasons, but often anxiety and depression, here's how. If you have symptoms, whether it be anxiety and depression or sleep disorder or whatever problem you're having, if you're anxiety or depression, if you think back, when did I start to have this problem? When's the last time that I didn't have this? And there's an event or a time period where you can tell it started after this, there's a good chance that something that happened, during that time period created the symptoms. So therefore, in that case, would see that the anxiety and depression symptoms are actually a manifestation of PTSD symptoms.
Now, I want to also get your opinion on the importance of exercise. That's actually how I defeated my anxiety disorder. And for people that aren't familiar with anxiety, and it didn't really hit me until my early 20s, but the way I described it, it was anytime I left what I considered a safe location, whether it be my house or my job, my heartbeat sped up. I started to tense up. I felt nervous. It was really hard to explain. And I ended up, going through a number of doctors and taking a number of medications. And I ended up, beating it a year later. Now I don't do anything for it. But I started to exercise and lost a lot of weight. What does that also help with PTSD, or what's your input on that?
Yeah, I will always recommend physical exercise to my clients, just to keep your baseline regardless of what the issue is, but especially with anxiety-based disorders, which PTSD is an anxiety-based disorder. Exercise will help your baseline be a lot better. It's great for stress relief, and it also releases the neurotransmitters that are antidepressants. And also feeling strong and healthy will help you feel like you have more command over your environment and yourself. So I will always recommend physical exercise. It's great to keep stress levels down.
Yeah, on a
regular basis.
Absolutely, and it's how I ended up beating my anxiety disorder. Carrie, thank you very much for coming into actually calling in today to talk about the Elk Institute. You can learn more about her over at elkinstitute.org. Carrie, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great week.
Thank you very much, Carrie, and enjoy the rest of your day. If you're just tuning in, you've been listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. Coming back for another break, we'll be talking with expert contributor Jim Yeager of Yeager & Company with the Remodeler's Corner. We'll be back in a moment.
Front and center, it's the General Cigar Dave. Join me for Alpha Male Pleasure Maneuvers, Saturday afternoons live from noon to 2 on my new home, 1250 WHNZ. Cigar Dave, live Saturdays noon to 2 p.m., now on 1250 WHNZ.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. With one phone call, you'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information. It's a free service, so call now.
Call now, 800-908-0586, 800-908-0586.
Tune in this weekend to get tips and advice from Air Rescue on how to keep your air conditioner running like a top. Or get a sweet deal on tuning up your air conditioner at cleanmyac.com. That's cleanmyac.com.
Hi, this is Todd Schnitt, and I have something very important I'd like to share with you. I've lived in Tampa Bay since 1994, and I've gotten to know Robert Harwood personally. He's the president of the Harwood Financial Group. Robert has built his financial practice by helping people invest and save for retirement. If you're not happy with your investments or looking for a better way to invest, I strongly recommend you take the time to talk to Robert. Tell him what you are concerned about. Robert can help you invest in a way that will make you comfortable and happy with the results. Call Robert Harwood and schedule your complimentary meeting, 800-395-4279, 800-395-4279, or win@retirement.com. Once you experience the Harwood way, you'll never settle for anything less. Call Robert, tell him Schnitt sent you, 800-395-4279, 800-395-4279, or win@retirement.com.
This report is brought to you by iHeartMedia.
Looking for a way to increase your business? Ever thought about advertising on radio? iHeartMedia can customize a campaign to meet your specific needs. Call 844-BUY-RADIO. That's 844-BUY-RADIO. Or go to iHeartMedia.com.
From the Bright House Network's Traffic Center, still seeing delays on the Veterans Expressway southbound as you approach 275. There is a crash that's off to the right side. Heavy northbound delays on 275 from the hump of the Howard Franklin all the way to Lois. Very stacked up traffic southbound on the Veterans Expressway from Ehrlich into Hillsborough Avenue. And still have a serious crash reported on 19 southbound after Tampa Road. See traffic problems? Call the injury firm of Abrahamson and Udelberg Hillsborough Traffic Tip Line 866-545-9595.
Winds, weather center forecast. We'll see sunshine again today, though a few scattered clouds will develop throughout the late morning and into the afternoon, with highs today in the upper 60s, near 70. Low tonight, cold, down to 40 degrees. Impact Radio, 1250 winds.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Meloni.
Hello, everybody, and welcome yet again to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni. If you're just tuning in, we were talking with Dr. Carrie Elk of the Elk Institute there in the first part of the show. And now we're going to go ahead and bring on expert contributor to the show, Jim Yeager, who has 42 years of experience in floor covering and home remodeling. Yeager & Company is celebrating its founding 70 years later and appears in multiple categories for the past 7 years by Angie's List Super Service Award. Yeager's is the best shop-at-home flooring company in the Tampa Bay market. Yeager & Company is not the here today, gone tomorrow type of company, and they've been around since 1944. Jim, welcome to the show today.
Hey, Jamie, thanks for having me, and it's a great day here in Tampa Bay.
Thank you very much. You were a little bit late with me last week, but you made a great effort to get here on time today. You were, what, like an hour and a half out there?
Hour and a half early, doing paperwork out in the truck.
That's some dedication right there. I appreciate that so very much. So, Jim, tell us a little bit more, first of all, about Yeager & Company and some of the history behind your company.
Sure. We're located up in Odessa in the West Pasco Industrial Park. That's in the Trinity area off of Route 54. It's a family-owned business. We've been in the flooring business since 1944 and remodeling back in the early days, aluminum windows and doors. And today our business is pretty much evolved into hardwood flooring, all types of flooring, tile and laminate, carpet, all the different types of hybrid new floors that are on the market, LVTs. And we do full remodeling, kitchen, bath, full remodels. We also do any type of minimal general construction work at this point in time. Drywall, if you want to move a wall, you want to make a room bigger or change the overall look of it, we're also in the remodeling. We are state licensed general contractors, and so we do a lot, just not floors anymore, pretty much any type of remodeling. We find that people prefer to try to have as little crews going through that they have to try to monitor versus get one company that can handle it all from start to finish.
Yeah, and I mean, third generation, I mean, your company's been around since 1944. Talk to me a little bit about some of the culture within your organization and your family members that have helped this company run for so long. So tell me a little bit about, how you've been able to keep the company successful for so many years.
Well, I mean, I think the one thing is not to lose sight of the target. Know what your business model is. With flooring, again, have gone through all the different generations of different types of floors. We just have a strong work ethic, and customer service is the most important thing. I think that's the benchmark for any business. I mean, if you're going to survive in today's business, the customer is always right, even when the customer is always right. So they're never wrong.
Yep, and you've got you got a beautiful showroom, by the way, in Odessa. I was touring it, before you came on to become a regular as well. And I mean, you've got a great display, many different flooring products, and I mean, it's a very beautiful showroom.
Thank you. And we continue to do the showroom. I mean, that whole building was never really designed for a showroom. It was to hold the material. Our business model is shop at home. We find it best to go to a consumer's home, see what it is, in fact, that they want to do, whether it just be for floors or for remodel or whatever the case may be. And you're able to, before someone comes into the store and picks out a bunch of products that maybe are well beyond what their budget is, to be able to gather the statistics of the things that are going to be necessary in order to do the job, and then say, well, if you're looking for 1,000 square foot of hardwood floors, everything up to the point of picking out the floors is, say, $8,000, and if you add an extra $3 a square foot for floors, it's an additional $3,000 to see if that is going to be able to be within the budget of the person. So our trucks are all outfitted, and they carry all the different types of flooring samples. Not all the different types of tiles, real heavy, and there's so much of it. So again, another reason for that showroom, for kitchens and designs and colors and palettes and such. For kitchen design, you would also need to come to the showroom for that.
So let's talk about floors, which is your first, what you're best known for. What is the newest kind of hard surface flooring in the marketplace today?
I think hard surface covers a pretty wide type of product categories. You have hardwood floors, laminate floors, LVT floors.
LVT, I'm going to use that acronym. Explain LVT. What is that?
Okay, LVT is a luxury vinyl tile.
Okay.
Luxury vinyl tile is now pretty much in the wood plank looks, and it is a rotogravure, kind of like the kitchen floors that a lot of us grew up with. It's a film finish over top of a hard or hydrocore type backing, and now the LVTs that are on the market, I mean, there's a bunch of them too, because normally in the flooring business, when one person comes out with something, and if it's the least bit successful, they come in droves. But the best products that we find in that LVT category, we talked about one time on the show, which is the product Cortec, made by U.S. Floors. That particular floor is a completely waterproof floor.
And it's wood?
It is. No, it's LVT. It has a limestone.
We're talking LVT, okay.
Actually, it's a hybrid, so it just got a patent 2 weeks ago. The classification for floors would still fall under the LVT, but it really isn't even an LVT. The only thing, the top, that film finish, that rotogravure, would maintain that LVT type classification. But the core of Cortec, and that's the whole point of the product, pardon me, is a limestone core, so it does not absorb water, and then it has a cork back on it. This particular floor can go over top of any type of floor. So a lot of homes that have ceramic tile down, if that ceramic tile is down sound, and we check every piece to make sure it's down sound, you can remove the baseboards and then put this new type of floor over top of that tile, eliminating all the cost and, most importantly, the dirt and the dust of removing tile. So it can go over top of an existing tile floor. The only thing you would have to look at is it is thick enough to cause an issue if possibly like a dishwasher would be prohibited from being able to be pulled out for repair or replacement. But it can also go over top of a laminate floor, which really there's no other floor that that has a product that is made to go over top of. And really, I don't see the need that you would have to go over top of a laminate floor because it's so easy to take it up. But it can, and it's warranted for that. And it also can go over top of hardwood floors. So it is a nice product. It does give a ability to put a real nice look in quick, and it's very durable. I mean, the only thing I think that would be something you would have caution with is dragging like appliances or something across it, because it still does have that rotogravure top to it. But
talk to me a little bit about the differences in application and cost structure with hardwood and laminate floors. I know with laminate, you have the noise issues when you're walking across the floors, but talk to me a little bit about the differences and the pros and cons of each.
Okay, so hardwood is going to be the best bang for the dollar. It also is going to be the one product that you can put in that's going to have a return value to the property. It's warm, it's nice, it's beautiful, and you will get your money out of it. Most of the floors, anything that we would sell in the state of Florida, is going to be in the engineered. That's the multiple layers, kind of looks like plywood, if you will, with a wear layer on the top of it. That floor is made to go over top of concrete subfloors when they are first sealed for moisture, and then they also then have to be prepped so they're flat, not necessarily level, but flat, so the adhesive is able to bond to the back of the hardwood floor. There is nothing better than a hardwood floor in a home. I think, at least in my opinion, it's the best floor that you can put in a home. Some homes, for different reasons, moisture, if the moisture level is too far up, even with sealers, it might be risky to put in, although they do make floating hardwood floors. My thought would be, if you're going to go with a floating hardwood floor, probably not a lot of sense in spending that additional dollar for wood, and then you could just go to a laminate type floor or quartz.
Explain what you mean by floating.
Floating is non-adhered. It is put, they're usually on a click system or a lock system where they go together. You put them together and you have expansion around the entire perimeter. Most of the time you cannot go any further than 20 foot in either direction without having to put a transitional strip in so it can still expand and contract. But they're good floors. They do meet certain types of buildings, like for instance downtown St. Petersburg Signature Building. Floating floors there is a good value for people, because in order to try to fix the floors in those units and get them flat, you're better off just to make minimal prep charges and fixes, and then put the floating floor over top. You can get sound absorbent pads for underneath that meet all the requirements, and that also that underlayment is what helps with that sound issue, that clickety clack when you walk on it.
Yeah, I mean, people that are sometimes not sure how to tell the difference between hardwood and laminate, all you got to do is walk across it. Yeah. And if it's making noise and it's a laminate, what are the differences in cost structure between hardwood and laminate? How much of a difference is there in between the two?
Usually about 30%, but that is just like on a baseline, like what you would see in a big box retailer for a 3-inch oak product. There are very good laminates on the market. What would make a good laminate? Not necessarily the thickness, like when you hear about a 8mm versus a 12mm, the 12mm being thicker really isn't going to do anything better for that consumer than the 8mm. It does only in one area. It does help muffle that sound a little bit. But the millimeter of wear layer that's on the top, which is also a rotogravure, it's that same type of film finish that goes on a LVT floor or a vinyl floor, that really is the same with an 8 as well as a 12. So
now I hear wood-looking porcelain tile is really popular. What are some of the positive things with this wood-looking tile, and what are some things consumers need to look out for?
Sure, and that is a big bestseller today, as everybody is coming in asking for these new tile looks and the porcelain type tiles. They're also available in ceramic. Porcelain would be better. Porcelain is harder. There's just tons of different ones in those as well. The big thing is with the tile, the wood-looking tile, the longer they are, the more challenging they are to install. They have them up to 48 inches, so when you're putting thin set and trying to maintain a level on the floor, makes it very difficult. You can't get too far too fast with that tile, because you're normally building up the thin set quite a bit underneath in order to keep it flat. Again, not necessarily level, but at least flat. So the longer, the harder. The harder, the more money, of course. And I'm talking labor. Those products can run $4 to $5 a square foot, which is up in the territory of like travertine stone. They are a lifetime floor, of course, so I mean it's an investment. They look really nice. They've been out before, they kind of cycle like colors, where they're popular some years, and again right now they're back up into the very popular category. A lot of people coming in asking for them.
Now, your company also does more than just wood floors. I mean, you do the porcelain, do you do marble,
we do all
stone, all that type of, all those different products. So that's really your specialty then is flooring. But you're also a remodeling company too. I want to stress that to the listenership. You're also a general contracting, and one of the things, a selling point to your company is you're not subbing out all the work. You've got a number of staff people. So talk a little bit about the structure of the company.
Rich is our head man for construction, and Rich is in charge of our employees that are out in the field every day doing all sorts of different work. I mean, it's not like we're doing kitchens every day, but we do a lot of bathrooms. Mm-hmm. There's probably 7 or 8 full master baths going right at the moment. So there's cycles in that with the plumbers and the electrician and the electricians and all the different tradespeople, the glass people. All those different folks, we find it best to be able to have our own employees through those parts, make sure the water's off, make sure we have plans if something goes wrong during the construction time. Yesterday, we were on a job over in Palm Harbor, and in the shower pan, the actual main water line was within the bed of the pan. So when the fellows were doing the demolition in there, luckily, we turned the water off before we go in the house. Actually, yesterday morning, I handed the one crew, Jeff, a handful of shark bites. Always best to be prepared, right. If you hit something, you never know what's behind the wall or what's underneath the floor. And in this case, it was glaring. So in any case, we do have our own crews, the construction crews. We have painters on staff, and we just find it best to be able to have control of our own guys versus subcontractors.
Yeah, hold that point. Got to take a quick break, but coming back from the break, we'll be talking with Jim Yeager of Yeager & Company a little bit more. And if you're just tuning in, you've been listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business.
iMortgage Tampa appreciates and supports all veterans and their families. And as a thank you for your service, they have some unique products specifically for veterans. These programs include 100% cash out loans, renovation loans, and also a VA interest rate reduction loan. Please call them today at 813-523-4908. Again, that's 813-523-4908. Or online, search for iMortgage Tampa. iMortgage NMLS 174457. Equal Housing Opportunity Lender. Programs and eligibility subject to programs and guidelines.
Tampa Bay weather is a roof killer. That's why when getting your roof done, you want it done right. Hi, I'm Jamie Meloni of the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show. When considering a new roof or repair, talk to Westfall Roofing. They've been installing high-quality roofs in Tampa Bay for over 25 years. Get a free, no-obligation estimate by calling 855-99-ROOFING. Find out what already 15,000 satisfied customers already know. Call now, 855-99-ROOFING. That's 855-99-ROOFING.
In the market for a reverse mortgage? Contact Access Reverse, a local company with personalized service in the Bay Area. Call them at 727-347-0305 or visit accessreverse.com for a no-cost, no-obligation consultation. They'll come to your home and speak with you about the best options for your reverse mortgage. Plus, they offer the lowest closing costs. Don't just get a reverse mortgage. Get the right reverse mortgage with Access Reverse. Visit accessreverse.com. NMLS number 4566. Bud Spriggs and Movement Mortgage want you to experience the thrill of one-day underwriting and the comfort in knowing your loans will be clear to close in record time. While the competition looks to a lost closing date, Bud Spriggs and Movement Mortgage focus on their 12-day clear to close. They do this by utilizing their world-class operations staff to underwrite your loan within 6 hours, process your loan in 12 days, and have your loan closed in time. Underwritten in 6 hours, cleared to close in 12 days. Bud Spriggs and Movement Mortgage.
This report is brought to you by the New York Yankees Spring Training. Get the hottest ticket in town and be a part of the action as the New York Yankees return to Tampa for spring training. Don't delay. Best seats available now. Tickets starting at just $17. Individual game tickets on sale at the Steinbrenner Stadium box office or steinbrennerfield.com.
From the Bright House Network's Traffic Center, we are just getting reports of a crash in Pinellas County on 19 at Almerton Road. Looks like there is a lane blocked here. Still dealing with heavy delays northbound on 275 from the hump of the Howard Franklin all the way into Lois. Westbound delays on I-4 from before the Selman Connector all the way into 275. And a very slow ride still southbound on the Veterans Expressway from Ehrlich to Hillsborough Avenue. See traffic problems? Call the injury firm of Abrahamson and Uterwick. Hillsborough Traffic.
Sunny skies today with a high near 68. Tonight, it'll be windy and cool with a low of 42. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny and chilly, only getting up to 57 degrees.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Meloni.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. Catch more of information on my show over at my website, tampabayradio.com. Currently talking with expert contributor to That Business Show, Jim Yeager of Yeager & Company. And Jim, your company has a lot of awards and successes with Angie's List. Talk to me a little bit more about this.
Angie's List, I think, as I said a number of other times on the show, is I think the best tool that a consumer has today for anything that they want to do pretty much in their home and even now outside of their home, even with adding medical doctors and veterinarians and just a whole host of different things, but specific to remodeling. I don't think there's a better place for a consumer that has no idea who they're going to pick to do work in their home for a project that they're thinking about other than Angie's List. If you go on to Angie's List, it's going to show you the different vendors in the categories that you're looking to have work done. In our case, say, flooring. And in that flooring category, it's going to show overall grades as to what the members of Angie's List, you have to join to be a part of it, have given each of the vendors. It is really, really important when you can look at all the different reviews that the members give on the particular vendor, because the vendor has nothing that they can do to change what the people put there. So good or bad, it's going to be there. And it's good, too, for even the businesses like ourselves. You know, it keeps us straight and always never forgetting that the customer is always right. Mm-hmm. Because in today's business world, I mean, you really have to be on the ball. You really have to be doing your job and doing it well. Otherwise, you know, with the internet and all these different types of services that are out there, it can really hurt.
Now, you've a recipient of the Angie's List Super Service Award. Tell me a little bit about this designation and what that means specifically.
Sure. That's less than 5% of the people in Angie's List that are able to earn that award, and it's based upon all the different reviews that you get during that year. We've been fortunate enough to get it for the last 7 years. We have it in multiple categories, not just flooring. We have it in construction, kitchens, bath, painting, a whole number of different things that we've won awards for. So, again, it's really good for the consumer. It keeps us, you know, square and straight as well when we're out doing our business, and it would encourage anybody that really is looking to do work of any type in their home to join that. You know, they're at angieslist.com. And most of the vendors are offering discounts on it as well that far offset the cost that's involved to get with it. And it's not that much money even to begin with. But
now, your company also has an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau as well, correct?
Correct, yes. And you know, the Better Business Bureau, it's good to make sure that you always keep a clean sheet there. And but it's a world different than Angie's List. You know, it's like old technology. I mean, it's good to keep it, but you're only going to ever have anything from the Better Business Bureau if you did something wrong and somebody put in a...
But a lot of people reference the Better Business Bureau. I mean, Angie's List is kind of the newcomer to that mark, a little bit of a different take than the Better Business Bureau. But, you know, those are, you know, two places where, you know, people need to go look for the contractors that are coming into their homes, because especially in our area, we have a lot of problems with unlicensed activity. Talk to me a little bit about what you see with regard to unlicensed activity and what consumers need to be looking for when choosing a general contractor.
There's a ton of different guys out there running around that call themselves contractors, and you know, really the licensing is the key deal, and even before the licensing is insurance, to make sure that the company or the person or the contractor that you're going to work with can provide you a liability certificate of insurance with you as the additional payee in the lower left-hand corner.
That's something a lot of people don't understand. The
Yep.
additional insured, because a lot of people show you a general certificate. Why is that different when that has the additional insured? I mean, are people not covered if they don't have that additional insured, or how does that? What does that mean exactly?
Anybody can come in and give you a certificate of liability insurance, and it's up to you to call the particular agent that wrote that policy. If it's, I don't even think it's on there, to be honest, and to ensure that that actually is still in effect, because you can go in today, buy the insurance, and it expires in 30 days, and no one's going to know. If you're listed on the bottom as the additional payee, anything that changes with that, they have to send you a notification that says this particular person's insurance is no longer valid. So that's key of importance. Your general contractor or contracting license, depending upon whatever trade you're in, is vitally important as well for permitting and for your own insurance. You know, if you just have somebody come in and do something that they're not qualified to do and it causes a problem, you could be held liable for the cost of the repair. And, you know, it just doesn't make sense to just hire somebody, you know, off the street that says that they can do floors or kitchens or whatever without checking to make sure that they have at least the very basic things that don't cost any money to get, you know, good feeling that you have somebody that's in your home that's, if there's an issue, they're going to be able to.
And a lot of stuff that I see in dealing with the bank properties, because I deal with general contractors a lot in the past 7 years, is you'll have a general contractor that basically sells his license to any old handyman. So that's another big problem that we see in the region. And I don't know about, you know, across the state, but that's a very big problem in the Tampa Bay region.
Well, you know, and just in that regard, nobody can really use anybody's license. Mm-hmm. It has to be qualified. It has to be all done through the state. And it's not something that somebody can just say, my buddy Billy over there is going to allow me to use his license.
Well, they don't say that.
Right.
They have a friend. He'll go pull the permits, but he's not really doing anything other than just staying behind the scenes.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
just somebody to walk it through.
Walk them through the process. But yeah, so that's another problem that I've seen a number of times, and I've had a few jobs go south because of that reason. With you know, real estate agents bringing in certain people into the jobs that weren't qualified. Where can people go and find the licensing? Where's the site?
Florida Biz is going to be your best bet, and then if you're like in Pinellas County, you can go on to Pinellas County Licensing Board. All that information is on the internet or even by phone. I mean, we check when we are out competing against others with jobs to make sure that we're comparing apples to apples. We had a situation yesterday where there was like a 40% difference in price on a particular project. It was impossible. I mean, it just was one of those deals it couldn't be. But come to find out, no licensing, you know, nothing there at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it's all public record. It's all available and easily to find. But, you know, just take my recommendation and call Jim Yeager over at Yeager & Company. He'll take good care of you. Got about a minute left. Jim, talk to the audience about where they can find more information about you.
Well, again, we're up in Odessa. We're at 2310 Success Drive. We're in the West Pasco Industrial Park. That's in the Trinity area. It's 2 miles west of Gunn Highway and about 3 miles east of Little Road. And you can find us at Yeager Flooring. Comes right up, and we'd love to come out and give you a no-cost estimate and see if we can help you with your project.
Yep. YeagerFlooring.com for more information, and also you'll find them over at TampaBayRadio.com, a regular contributor to I'm not the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show anymore. I'm That Business Show with Jamie Meloni. Jim, thank you very much for coming in the studio today, and you'll catch Jim each and every Thursdays at 8:30 here on the Remodeler's Corner. Take a moment to visit my website again, TampaBayRadio.com, where you can catch all of my past shows as well as all of my show recaps, and I'll catch you all in here tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. on That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business.